What if your favorite superheroes woke up one day and the only thing left of their heroism was the hunger? That's the premise behind one of Marvel's darkest, weirdest, and most influential comics, Marvel Zombies. A 5-issue miniseries where the Avengers, the Fantastic Four, and Spider-Man are still exactly who they were, just infected with an unstoppable craving for human flesh. Today we're breaking down the story, the characters, and why this twisted little comic became a cult phenomenon. Marvel Zombies wasn't originally supposed to be its own thing. The concept first showed up in Ultimate Fantastic Four, in a 2005 crossover written by Mark Millar and drawn by Greg Land. In that story, the Ultimate Universe's Fantastic Four opens a portal to a parallel reality, Earth 2149, where they find zombified versions of Reed Richards and the rest of Earth's heroes. That one-shot idea proved so popular that Marvel greenlit a spin-off limited series. Robert Kirkman, years before he became a household name for The Walking Dead, took the concept and ran with it, paired with artist Sean Phillips and covers by Arthur Sudom. The 5-issue series ran from December 2005 to April 2006, and it's this main series we're focusing on today. Kirkman made one crucial creative choice that defines the entire franchise. These aren't mindless, shambling zombies. They're fully conscious. They remember who they are. They still have their powers, their personalities, their relationships. The only thing that's changed is an insatiable hunger for flesh that overrides everything else. On Earth 2149, an alien virus sweeps across the planet, turning nearly the entire superhero population into zombies. Within days, humanity is devoured almost to extinction. The heroes we know, Spider-Man, Iron Man, the Fantastic Four, the Hulk, are still fighting crime, still solving problems. They're just doing it while also trying to satisfy a hunger they can't control. This is where the book gets its dark comedy. These are heroes desperately trying to hold on to some shred of their old identity, rationalizing horrific acts, squabbling over food sources, all while looking and acting almost exactly like they used to. It's a horror story wearing a superhero costume, and that contrast is the entire engine of the series. With most of humanity gone, the zombified heroes turn on the last remaining food source available to them: each other, and any survivors they can find. That scarcity drives nearly every conflict in the story. Let's talk about who actually drives this story. Spider-Man is arguably the emotional core of the series. Unlike most of the cast, he's horrified by what he's become, at one point locking himself away rather than hurt the people he loves. He represents the last flicker of conscience in a cast that's mostly given in to the hunger. The Fantastic Four, particularly zombie Reed Richards, take a much colder, more clinical approach to their new condition. Reed treats the hunger almost like a scientific problem to be managed rather than a moral crisis, which makes him one of the more unsettling characters in the book precisely because he's so calm about it. Giant Man, Hank Pym, becomes one of the more chilling figures in the series, a hero who fully leans into the horror of what he's become. The Hulk and other powerhouse characters serve as the series' brute force problem solvers, and their zombie versions are used largely for shock value and dark humor, proof that even the strongest heroes couldn't stop what happened to them. Kirkman also uses cosmic-level Marvel characters, including a certain world-devouring being, to raise the stakes even further, putting the zombified heroes up against threats far bigger than anything on Earth. What makes the character work land is that none of them are written as monsters wearing hero skin. They're still themselves, just forced to confront how far they'll go to survive. At its core, Marvel Zombies is asking a simple, uncomfortable question. How much of your identity survives when your body's needs override your morals? The heroes haven't lost their memories or their relationships. They still love, still argue, still crack jokes. But that hunger is a constant, and watching them justify horrific choices, usually with the same heroic logic they'd use to justify a rescue mission, is where the story gets genuinely disturbing. There's also a clear thread about scarcity and desperation. Once humanity is gone, the story shifts from heroes versus villains to heroes versus each other, because there's simply no other food source left. It's less a monster story and more a survival story, which makes sense, given Kirkman would go on to explore the exact same territory with human characters a few years later. And of course, there's the dark comedy. Kirkman leans hard into gore and absurdity, using this bizarre premise to poke at just how far superhero conventions can bend before they break entirely. Marvel Zombies wasn't just a one-off horror gimmick. It kicked off an entire recurring corner of the Marvel multiverse. It spawned sequels, crossovers, and eventually found its way into animation and other media, all built on that same core idea Kirkman established here. Part of why it endures is the sheer novelty of the pitch, putting horror movie logic inside the very colorful, very optimistic world of superhero comics, and refusing to soften the results. It's grim, it's funny, and it doesn't pretend to have a happy ending.